We can't unincorporate it.
Actually, I think there's a lot of advantages to being unincorporated.
Certainly didn't expect it to go on this long. I was trying to temporarily help out, but everybody seems to have a problem.
After last week's taxes and budget meeting in Otter Creek, which turned into utter chaos and dysfunction because of Russ The Suss and Don the Con, we now enter this week's normal monthly meeting, which again turned into utter chaos. It starts slow. It was almost an hour and a half long, and it ends with a big bang and a fight.
Yeah.
Evening, Russ.
In walks Russell, the previous mayor, who believes in his own mind he still has all the power and authority of a mayor. There's some things you have to understand to comprehend everything that's about to go on. Russell, resident of the town of Otter Creek, his own daughter, Charlene, is against the way that he lives, is against the way that the town does things. And she's made that public in a meeting 10 years ago.
My concerns are, and I think most of them have already been addressed, about the town looking like a ghetto and the town council not doing anything to fix this, nor is anyone ever going to want to move here to improve our town or make it where there's more people to compensate or justify this water issue.
She's not okay with Otter Creek being a ghetto, and yet her dad is. Why does her dad want the power? Well, there's a power struggle that you're going to see at the table. You've got Russ The Suss, who is somewhat related to Zim, the vice mayor. Zim is married to a relative of Russ The Suss, and somewhere along the lines there's been a family feud. But that's not the only family connection on the council. Gail is related to Russell as well. In walks Don, which we know very little about, except the fact of his record of controlled substances. That and stray dogs. And he's got a fire truck that he bought for $500 when his wife was the clerk. For all the complaining that Don and Russ have done that they're not getting their information in time, this is the first time they're actually looking at their packet. Because we all know
I don't do email.
the council members have the option of opening their emails and going through all the information a week early, or coming to town hall and getting all their information. Both of which neither Don nor Russ did.
Let the meeting come to order. Let's stand for the pledge. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By my count, there are no less than seven cameras filming this meeting right now. You've got one recorder in front of Russell and potentially Don recording again on a secondary cell phone. That's a lot of people gathering information right now. On a town of 100 people, you got to be asking yourself, why? These people moved here for peace and quiet. By the way, I moved here for peace and quiet, not to be stalked by Lynette, who you just saw in the back, wearing the face mask now because she has to live out her lie that she continues to tell, not to be lied to, not to be stolen from, I've given so much time for Russell and Mary to do the right thing. This is why the world knows about Otter Creek, because they chose to do the wrong thing.
Gail Lamb.
Gail Lamb, present.
John Severino.
Present.
Therese Granger, present. Sam Pageant.
Present.
Russell Meeks.
Yeah.
All right, the first thing we have on the agenda is to approve the agenda. I got a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous? All right, and we move on to approve the bills. Do I hear a motion to approve the bills?
I'm making a motion to approve the bills.
Okay, do I hear a second to approve the bills?
I'll second that.
All right, we got a second. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Unanimous?
If you've been following the story in Otter Creek, right now you're probably thinking, whoa, approve the bills? Nobody saw the bills. They all did. They all saw the bills. Under Russell and Mary, nobody got the bills, and yet they still approved them every month, even though legally the council has to see them and has to approve them. They got the bills in their packet. They got their packet a week before the meeting, if they actually picked it up or if they actually read their emails. Everybody got to see the bills. The council gets to see the financials in the bills. The public just watches what the council does.
Okay, and then we have to approve the minutes. First, we have the minutes from August 8th meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for August 8th.
Do I have a second?
I second the minutes from the August 8th meeting.
All in favor? Aye. All right, unanimous. And then we have the two sets of minutes from the 15th. We have the ones from the budget workshop.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from the August 15th meeting.
Okay, do I hear a second to approve the minutes for the budget workshop meeting?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, aye. All right, unanimous.
Who is this new Russ the Suss and Don the Con? This is actually going pretty good right now. There's no tension. There's no disgruntled backbiting and arguing. It's almost as if somebody counseled them to act and behave this way. And somebody did. But it doesn't last long.
And the last set of minutes is the August 15th special meeting minutes. Good.
I make a motion to accept the August 15th meeting. Special meeting?
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yes.
I don't get
I know there's so
minutes.
many minutes. All right, do I hear a second to approve those minutes from the August 15th special meeting?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, unanimous. Okay, now we're gonna move on to public participation. If anybody has anything they would like to speak to the council about on the topic.
Me? I want to answer a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, as everybody knows, I'm Darlene Hudson. My daddy was the one that incorporated this place, made it a city.
That's Miss Darlene, one of the famous Hudson girls, and those girls are a ball of fun. And I wish that George and I could have actually met their parents. You've heard it said before, the Hudson mentality. I think the Hale's mentality and the Hudson mentality would have fit and aligned very, very well. They cared for people. They cared for their town. They cared that people were being cared for. And George and I, we ask God to bless us every day so we can take care of our needs, but the needs of others in our sphere of influence. And that's one of the things we'll be doing this Christmas with Darlene. I'm highlighting it again because we're going to try and reach out to the kids in the area this Christmas with Darlene's help.
I hear this talk about wanting to become unincorporated. Why, what would help? I mean, would we benefit from it or not? I mean, to remain a city, what's it gonna cost? I mean, I don't know, I wanna know, I mean, why now do we wanna unincorporate? I mean, I don't understand, well, I mean, I don't understand what's going on,
No
or
one here,
why, or,
no one here is trying to incorporate.
no, okay.
Well,
I
Don
hear
had
it
brought
is.
up. Don had brought it
It was
up
part
at
of
the
this
last
conversation, but
meeting.
it wasn't.
And it's on social media.
It mainly is on social media, and that's where it's coming from. You know, if you say anything, you know, then you're the bad person, or if you
That is
do
correct.
this and all that.
Well, Don
you
did
know.
bring it up, so I think he
Well, I'm
would be the one to
thinking,
answer
I'm
that
thinking there's some
question.
positive things.
I mean,
If
I think.
Well, I don't think this is the.
She just asked you the question. You don't wanna
Well,
answer.
that's not what public
I mean,
concern
I'm
is
just
about.
a
Probably
concern,
asking
you
questions. I'm
know,
not gonna-
why,
So how does she go about finding out what she wants to find out?
how, you know,
You mean that?
I'm not, I mean, is that what, is it? I mean, I heard that
Ask
some of the
questions,
council
you know?
wanted to
But this isn't the venue for
unincorporate.
that.
Is that true? I mean, how do y'all feel about that? I mean, is that what some of y'all are wanting to do?
There's a rich history in Otter Creek, and the Hudson girls are part of that history. Their dad actually incorporated the town. And I understand there's a sentiment and a feeling there, a very close attachment to that. The other hand, you've got me who's been mentioning unincorporating. And on the other side of that, you've got Lynette and John Crook who continue to post, say that Jeremy only wants to unincorporate so he can take over the entire town. He can buy everybody's land. So let's back up a little bit. Number one, Jeremy Hales cannot unincorporate the town. Only the townspeople can unincorporate the town. All right, so let's get that very, very clear. Number two, you can't buy property that isn't for sale. It's that simple. You can't just go take property. Even though Lynette continues to mention that Vice Mayor Zim is stealing property, and that becomes another issue later. We're going to get to that. So they ask, what are the positives? Don says, well, there's some positives to it, but then he doesn't want to actually talk about it. So let's mention some of the positives in unincorporating. Unincorporating positive number one. There is a fight for power in Otter Creek, a small town with 100 people, where power is not even power. I guess it's perceived power. Somebody wants control over this, somebody wants control over this, somebody wants control over this, somebody wants control over this. You unincorporate, those fights are gone. They're no longer at that local level. Everything is done at the county level, a higher level. Therefore, the fighting is gone. So that's positive number one, which is huge. Okay, let's talk about positive number two. You can't continue to function if you can't pay your bills. There's not enough money coming in. You don't bring in enough money to actually pay your bills. What happens to you and I? We declare bankruptcy. We have debtors and creditors calling us nonstop. We get ourselves in a whole bunch of legal mess, right? And that's where Otter Creek is. Now, when Otter Creek incorporated, there were more people. It made more sense. You're going, well, why did Otter Creek incorporate in the first place? It was all about the water plant. They needed to actually have a council to run the water. And that made sense then. Now the county can come in and do those things, to the best of my knowledge. And I am not 100% knowledgeable on all of these things. This is not my area of expertise. I know a little about a lot, not a lot about this little thing, okay? So other benefits to unincorporating. Well, you still remain a town. Golf Hammock is a town. They're not incorporated. There's nothing different at all for Golf Hammock versus Otter Creek. There's no more monthly meeting where people come together and fight and argue. There's no more bickering about this person did this person's trying to do this, such as Lynette's post. By the way, if you think like a fool, everything that comes out of your mouth is going to sound like a fool. That's Lynette. If you think rationally, everything that comes out is rational. That's typically Jeremy. All right, so let's take this from a business point of view. I'm a businessman, right? You knew that. You already know that. I look at numbers and math. Financially, with 100 people in the town, they cannot sustain the town requirements to actually remain. Let's think of it as a store. They're not generating, there's not enough customers to generate enough income to pay all the bills. If we were a store, we'd have to shut down. Okay? As a town, there's not enough residents to generate enough money to pay all the bills. So as a town, you unincorporate, the county takes over, and they run everything for you. The best part of it, again, I mean, I don't know how to get any more clear than this. No more fighting. Negatives? It's harder to get permits. Negatives could be, potentially, I don't know. I've heard that taxes will go down, but there are some that are saying taxes would go up. I don't believe taxes would go up that much. Remember our last meeting when we were talking about the mill rate and one of the residents asked Russ, do you even know what that means for the people of the town? And we are told that the average home is only going to go up $12 a year. Okay, so we could say taxes go up if we unincorporate. What if taxes only go up another $12? Okay, Is that enough to say, you know what, $12, I can scrap some of the metal on my property so that we don't fight as a community anymore? Why do these people want the power in the first place? I don't even understand. Remember, with power comes corruption, and there's been a ton of it in this town. Unincorporating removes all of it.
Nobody has put it out there that they want to do that. The
Okay.
conversation was brought up about it out of some frustrations the other night, I believe.
Because they say we're broke, the town's
Well,
broke. And if we go broke,
Well,
we've got to turn over to the
town's
county.
not broke, but it is.
That's what I thought.
It is in need.
I'm going to correct Vice Mayor Zim here, because last meeting, just a week ago, it was Don Severino, Don the Con, who said, I make a motion to unincorporate.
Well, I make the motion that we unincorporate.
So it was put out there. As a matter of fact, Madam Mayor Teresa said multiple times, we have a choice. We either build our future or we unincorporate, because she can't do it alone. This is a town of 100 people. By the bylaws, they have to have 5 council members. 100 people, 5 council members. That's 5% of the population. No term limits, because if you had term limits, you would never ever be able to get council members. You'd run through them in a matter of years, right? And it's the same corrupt people that want the power. That's another positive of unincorporating. These corrupt individuals that keep coming up to the forefront for the council member positions, that want the power for some reason, for some agenda, they're gone. It's done. It's never thought about again. We can live peacefully. We can have festivals. We can have community garage sale days. We can get together for Christmas activities. You're still known as Otter Creek. The only thing that changes is that the county cares for the needs of the people versus the town. We no longer have town hall meetings. That's it.
Okay,
It's not broke.
Right.
And nobody has brought it out, that they're pushing for this and bringing it up.
Okay.
I
Thank
think got some frustrations the other night. It was brought up in the meeting between some, but it was not brought out that was the direction we need to go.
okay. Because, you know, I'm like mixed feelings, like, you know, my dad, he's the one that incorporated it, and I'd hate to see us go to unincorporate, you know, because of that, you know, and I've asked people, and there's a lot of people that says, no, they would hate to see us not be a city no more. I mean, the county don't wanna come in here and help us. Why? Does the county not wanna help us no more?
Well, it's not,
I
no,
mean,
it's not, the county's just, they're not wanting to help us, it's just.
Okay,
They're making some stands about the rights and wrongs about how things should be done.
right.
And so they're putting us as responsible for the building and code enforcement.
Vice Mayor Zim is telling Miss Darlene about the interlocal agreement. Now, as a town, because we are incorporated, there are legal things that we must provide for the people. But all those legal things that must be provided for the people, the town can't afford. Therefore, the county actually came in under an interlocal agreement and provided those things. They're no longer providing those things. At the end of this month, it's gone. That means to be a legal town, Otter Creek must provide it now. And if they don't, they're in a world of hurt of legal liability. And who do you think in town is breaking most of the codes? That would be Lynette and John Crook.
And we'll talk about that later.
Which I understand all that.
And what's really good here is that you're getting mixed things out there on social media that's
Mhm.
causing a lot of this.
That's the reason I said I would
I'm
ask them
glad
to
you
meet.
brought that here to clear that up.
That's the reason I wanted to clear up here, you know, and let this be on social media, what I'm saying, you know,
That's right.
that I could say,
It creates
I'm not
confusion.
sure. It does,
creates
very
confusion.
much so. Okay,
Did your questions get answered?
yeah, they say not trying to do it, so,
I will say, if this board doesn't do the things necessary to run this town, how can we stay incorporated? That's a question I have.
right, and now, and
Because I don't have people that wanna do certain things on this board, and if people just show up for a meeting and they're not doing anything outside of the meeting for this town, how can we run?
That's right.
So that's
I
my
agree.
question to the people.
Yeah. Yeah,
So one
I mean-
person can't run this town.
right, I mean, I know there's things that we want for this town, city, and there are things that we need.
Right.
You know, I know we probably need a dog catcher, but we don't need that right now. Let's get ahead and get things that we really need. You know, I know there's people got dogs running around that, you know, it's been that way for years, but things need to change, I agree. I do agree with that.
I think if we have a board of all members who are engaged with going
And that's
forward
what
and
it's
doing things
always
in this
been. People
town,
get
that
on
would
this
be
board and they
great.
just argue.
Like, it seems like
Everything.
nothing's getting accomplished, and it's a bunch of arguments, and people just wanna show up to collect their check once a month.
I think
that's what I see.
I do agree. I had a sister
I said
sit
this
on there
is my
for
personal
20-something years.
opinion. This is my personal
And
opinion
they
of what I
just
see.
never wanted to listen to anything she had to say. Well, 30 years, whatever. You know, and they always argued with her. But she knew her books. She knew what was right. Oh, they wanted to get her off of there then, when she seen what was going on.
Miss Darlene is referring to her sister Marie, Miss Marie, and she was a wealth of knowledge and history in Otter Creek. And she knew, as Darlene's saying, she knew her books. What Darlene's referring to, she knew the Constitution and she knew the bylaws of Otter Creek. And who did she butt heads with and fight with all the time, and who wanted her off? It was Russell. There's a deep history, as Darlene was already saying. It's arguments, it's fights. Unincorporate. It's over. It's done. So Marie kept them in their place, going, all right, this is what the actual Constitution and bylaw says. This is what can be done. This is what can't be done. You know how many people in the town of Otter Creek actually know what those bylaws say right now? There's a handful. You got Madam Mayor, who I know has read through them. Her husband, Brett, who I know has read through them. You have me, who has read through them. Those are the only 3 people that I actually know that know the Constitution and bylaws. I don't even think the other members even have a copy of them. Even though when I got to Otter Creek, I got a copy of them. I had them put in electronic PDF format, and I said anybody and everybody should have them. And I'll still give them to everybody if you're a resident of Otter Creek.
So, all right.
What does it mean to unincorporate? What would happen to us as people if we unincorporate? I don't know.
I know y'all said in the budget meeting about,
Well,
taxes
a lot
going,
of-
or whatever.
right.
Or
A
either the
municipality
bill, water
of
bill.
112 people.
My opinion, so if the
Kind of
taxes
really
go up, that's a
hard
one-time
to
thing.
maintain
Water bill's gonna be every month.
Exactly.
They're gonna fuss about that.
The water bill's gonna continue on every month,
Not
the
necessarily.
county's gonna take it over, and they're not gonna be as lenient about the prices it is here.
Right.
Taxes will go up, because now we would be going to the same taxes that they got Bronson and Chiefland and all the other municipalities. They'll be in those ranges.
Right.
And, the town has sheltered the people from higher taxes for a long time. And
Right.
and it's gonna continue to do this. But it's
Right.
gonna make sure that everyone pays their fair amount of taxes.
Right.
So that way everyone pays the same amount that I pay on my house, that Don pays on his house. Everyone needs to pay that same amount.
That's right, the right thing needs to be done.
Right.
I agree with that.
That's right.
I agree.
And that's,
You know, whether
and that's gonna help the town drastically, and it's gonna keep, it's actually gonna keep everyone in that same shelter that the town has already been in all this time. It'll be more fairly balanced.
and that's the reason, I know that's the reason a lot of people don't wanna clean up, do anything, because it, you know, and that's wrong.
But it doesn't affect your value. I mean,
You know.
you can keep
I mean,
people from coming to town because of it, but you're not gonna affect
Right,
your value.
right.
Vice Mayor Zim says there's protection in the town against taxes. And I'm going to actually counter that and understand I can not agree with somebody and still be friends with them. That's what's called being a mature adult. I don't agree with everything Vice Mayor Zim says. I don't agree with everything Mayor Therese says. I don't agree with everything Gail says, even though I enjoy them as friends and company and residents in the town of Otter Creek. I think there's greater protection in the overall umbrella of the county. Number one, all the taxes are spread out throughout the county. Therefore, you dilute the amount of money going in. And in my opinion, taxes would be less. I don't have any information to guarantee that. This is not something I have pioneered before in regards to unincorporating. This is new territory for me. But mathematically and logically and reason-wise, when you take an expense and you disperse it over many people instead of 100 people, the price goes lower, not up, generally speaking. okay? But the protection over the county as well provides all the services that the people need. Life-saving services from police, ambulance, fire, you name it. That's true protection that I think we all need as residents.
Actually, I think there's a lot of advantages to being unincorporated.
Just like mature adults can disagree with somebody and still be their friends, I can even agree with somebody who would never call me their friend. This is one of the wisest things Don has said, and I don't know why he didn't expand upon it. He should have, for the benefit of the people.
Basically, as I understand unincorporation, and I've been studying it a little bit, we're a really small town. So usually when unincorporation happens, it happens in a town that doesn't have enough members to fund a board. Like, hard to get 5 people, 5 competent people that share like minds and want to do the right things for the town. That's hard to do. It's hard to get, the clerk. Like, we can't seem to get an outside clerk because it's not worth their travel with no benefits to work here. It's hard for us to get an attorney because an attorney doesn't want to be part of the circus.
Right, yes.
Russ The Suss is the ringmaster of the circus. As a matter of fact, when George and I actually came to Otter Creek, we had one of the most renowned local attorneys on the town board. And you know what he did? He left. You know why? Russell. Because of all the fighting, the ridiculousness, the liability that man has placed this town in. No lawyer will touch us. That wasn't Attorney Worm. Attorney Worm is the bottom of the barrel. He came in after we lost the best. Then we had the worst. Attorney Worm has his own reputation. Well, I can't tell you what it actually is. It's YouTube. There's policies.
These are the challenges right now the town is facing. So I think, now I can be corrected because I'm hearing something different from Zim, but if the town unincorporates, the town taxes go away. We already pay Levy County taxes. So then all we would pay is Levy County taxes.
We only pay a portion of Levy County taxes.
So you're saying the town helps subsidize the county taxes?
Yes, you are paying landfill taxes, the ambulance fee.
Okay.
Those are the things that you're paying, everything. Yeah,
You're
other than
paying-
your
you're paying-
your
we're paying a portion of
actual,
the county taxes now.
Okay, so-
affluent taxes are what our rate is, not the county's rate, which is higher. You're
Okay.
at the rate that we were talking about at the budget meeting.
So there's some of that I don't understand, so
Yes, there is
I
some of
won't
that.
speak to that.
It.
My-
That's it.
I got a house in the county,
Yeah.
and the taxes on it are 3 times higher than what the house is here.
I find it a little difficult for me to comprehend that if you take the same piece of property and you put it in a neighboring town that's unincorporated and it's paying 3 times as much taxes, location is everything. So I pay $18,200+ a year in real estate taxes here. If I pick this piece of property up and I put it in California, yeah, I'm gonna pay way more than 3 times. But Otter Creek is Otter Creek. I pay such low taxes in Otter Creek because it is Otter Creek. There's no way we unincorporate and my taxes go up by 3. I don't have the knowledge on the subject that these guys are talking about. What I do have is actual paperwork that talks about my taxes. You can see my proposed taxes from the county right here. If we look down, this is the actual ranch. Your tax rate and taxes if the proposed budget change is made for 2023. Millage rate. If I go here, county, which is Levy County, they're proposing a 9.000 millage rate. Now, if we go over here, Otter Creek, they have a 7.8669. That's already passed. So I'm paying a millage rate for the county and a millage rate for the town. I'm at a 9 with the county. I'm at 7.8 with the town. Let's do some math. In 2022, I paid $2,470.05 in taxes. With the tax rate increase, I would pay $2,664.24. That ups my taxes $194.19. That's on 70+ acres. Do you know how many people in the town of Otter Creek actually have 70 acres that they're living on? No one. Me. Okay? You're paying Otter Creek within the city limits of Otter Creek. I have another parcel there too. Let's swing on over. Okay, same thing. Millage rate is 9, 7.8. So 107.83 is what I paid last year on the taxes. I would pay 139.35 That would be an increase of $31.52. I don't know what they're talking about in regards to taxes. I know I'm paying both taxes, county and town, and I can't imagine that the county taxes are going to go up any more than what the town already is. So if you take that 9 and that 7.8 and put them all together, I'm still paying taxes. Why pay for all the headaches of actually having an incorporated town that fights nonstop? Let all the fighting go up to the county level.
The same house on the same property.
Same values,
Same everything. Okay.
I mean, it's all within a couple $100 each way,
Right.
but the amount of the taxes are the same. Within probably
But to answer other questions you may have, as far as the tax, I can't speak to that. But you would still get water service because the county would take over the water. Lonnie also serves the other towns around in Inglis and Fowler's Bluff, and he does our water. And I don't know if he does Bronson. I think he used to. So they would just hire, Lonnie's paycheck would just change. He'd have a different boss.
Get money brought into the town, it's kind of like,
Here's
like saying, you know, we don't have enough money.
We can discuss unincorporated town. We can actually try to do it. We're not going to be allowed to do it. We don't qualify to disqualify. This town does not qualify to become unincorporated. We can't unincorporate it.
I don't believe that to be true at all, that we don't qualify. As a matter of fact, there's statutes and there's laws in regards to who does qualify. So number one, the dissolution of any municipality, our town, must meet the following conditions. A, the municipality must be dissolved, must not be substantially surrounded by other municipalities. You realize Otter Creek isn't surrounded by other towns. Well, we are. They are towns. They're just not incorporated. The same way we would be if we were unincorporated. We'd just be another town, just like every other town around us. B, the county or another municipality must be demonstrable able to provide necessary services to the municipal area proposed for dissolution. In other words, the county would take us over. C, an equitable arrangement must be made in relation to the bonded indebtedness and vested rights of employees of the municipality to be dissolved. In other words, what's going to happen with all the debt? Well, we're thankful that Otter Creek isn't deep in debt, but you're probably wondering what happens with any of the actual budgetary or grant monies that come in. Well, they go back to the federal government. As a matter of fact, Chapter 165, Dissolution Procedures, is very, very clear. The charter of any existing municipality may be revoked and the municipal corporation dissolved by either A, a special act of the legislature, so our state can come in and dissolve us because we're not doing things right. B, an ordinance of the governing body of the municipality approved by a vote of the qualified voters. B2, if the vote of the qualified voters is required, the governing body of the municipality, or if the municipal government body does not act within 30 days, the governing body of the county or the counties in which the municipality is located shall set the date of an election, which shall be the next regularly scheduled election or a special election held prior to such election, if approved by a majority of the members of the governing body of each of the governmental units affected, but no sooner than 30 days after the passage of an ordinance. Notice of the election shall be published at least once each week for 2 consecutive weeks prior to the election in a newspaper or a general circulation of the municipality. In other words, we got to have 50% or 51% of the voters in Otter Creek to say, oh, we don't want to be incorporated anymore. And then that's how we are unincorporated. The county takes us over. They have the funding to do it. We don't have any other towns around us that are incorporated that are relying on us. I would think by far we qualify for unincorporation.
Because there's certain criteria you have to.
What I'm asking is, I've heard that Russell tried this before.
Right, and he found out that he can't do it because we don't meet the criteria that makes us eligible.
What would be the criteria to make it?
Yeah, what's the criteria?
First of all, you have to be money.
Town have to be broke.
Are we about that way? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I don't think.
Are we about broke? It's all, it's on social media. That's what I'm just asking. All, people wanting to do donate money and they wanna do this because the town's so broke.
Well, we don't
Why?
have, we don't have the budget all the other towns have.
Right,
We
I
have
understand
a
that.
budget proportion to the amount of people that we have in the town.
Right.
So it's in proportions, like all the other towns. It's just a smaller budget because it's a smaller town.
Right,
So, yeah, we don't have as much cushion or leeway that other towns have.
okay.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to bring money in? I mean,
Yeah, that's-
What we're talking about doing on the taxes.
Okay.
Taxes,
Okay.
make it fair across the board on the taxes.
Okay,
And that's something we'll be talking about coming, because we gotta get all this stuff worked out between now and January, so that the county has all their legal times to
Okay.
do the proper.
okay, so it ain't something like,
It ain't
not
gonna happen.
unincorporated tomorrow or
No.
something?
No, it don't
You have to
happen.
ask yourself, why do we become incorporated in the first place?
Right. That's a good question.
Certainly there was a reason with just 100 residents, you know.
Well, when it was incorporated, I'm sure
When
they
it was
had more.
incorporated, it was
Have what?
more
2,500 to
residents.
4,000
No,
people.
No. 19, no.
If all the information that's been shared with me is correct, and you have to understand, I'm not always correct. When they incorporated, there was roughly 500 to 600 residents. That's the same as the village that George and I live in right now, right here, as we're filming. We have a budget of 1.1 million here in the village. And in the town of Otter Creek, their budget is just over $50,000. Why did they incorporate? Money. Grants. Federal grants to then get water to the people. It all comes down to money so that they could get water. It's still the same issue today, trying to get clean water to the people. To receive federal or state money, there's certain requirements that have to be in place. And one of those being, you gotta have a town council. With a town council, you gotta have a charter, and you gotta have the bylaws. You gotta be incorporated.
That's a question I never really asked.
No, there once was. There once was 4,000 people.
Are we good with all this?
Let's move on to the next question.
Okay,
Someone has to organize, operate the water plant, make the collections, see to the maintenance and everything. So that's probably the only reason that they incorporated us was to maintain the water.
This is the second intelligent thing that Donna said during this meeting. It's all about water. Incorporation was about water.
Everything else that goes along with running a regular city.
okay. And Mr. Fuller had something.
This got into a full-blown discussion.
It's a good
I
discussion.
realize you all just approved the agenda, and this is not an agenda item, nor was it advertised.
I have the utmost respect for Mr. Fuller, and I know many of you do as well. And you think he's the individual that actually came with a $6,000 water bill that Mary sent him that Belinda corrected. This is not the same individual. Mr. Fuller does not own property in Otter Creek. He has family that owns property in Otter Creek. And yes, this is part of the agenda, public comments. But you're about to hear him say public comments are one way. It's a one-way discussion. And I promise you, it blows up in his face later in this meeting because he goes both ways, back and forth with another council member.
It just fell under the public comment.
And
Yeah, I
public
didn't know what to
comment,
ask
it
you.
goes one way, not both ways. So now, the question is it time for maybe a workshop on incorporation? Because then you're notifying the citizens. Right now, some of the citizens may not be here just because they didn't know this discussion was gonna come up, as opposed to public comment. Public comment always goes one way. It's not that the council should respond to it, but it always goes one way. But when you have an open discussion back and forth and you're discussing issues, two things probably need to happen. Look at a workshop, and once you look at that workshop, then invite the people who are authorities. Like there's a question about taxes. Will you pay more or less taxes once you unincorporate? That's the question for the tax assessor. It's things like that. Go ahead and get a professional, someone who is competent to come in here and answer that question. And whatever other questions, for instance, do we qualify for unincorporation? That's the question. I think I know the answer, but I don't want to give the answer in here because I'm not necessarily the authority, but I've dealt with that before. But the point being, it should be advertised as an open discussion about incorporation, so people in the town who are interested would be able to come in and express their opinions. Right now, the only opinions you're getting are the ones that saw the minutes and saw the agenda and thought that I'll either go to the meeting or not go to the meeting.
It's unfortunate, but most of the residents of Otter Creek just don't care. It wouldn't matter what you put on an agenda, they're not going to show. They don't care. How do you get so bad in a place, in a town, where your residents just, they give up all hope and they stop caring? And to justify it by saying, well, that's just the way it's always been, that's not helping. There's literally no hope. There needs to be hope. There needs to be focus. There needs to be vision for the people of the town.
So it should be an advertised workshop. You don't have to make decisions, but it should be an advertised workshop where at least, rather than just have it on social media, have it as an item that will be discussed with certain authorities here that are able to answer those questions.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
insight.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowler.
In the past, the town has always tried to make sure when open comments come up that people somewhat get the answers that they're inquiring about. It's always been that practice of the town. It's always been that way. So it wasn't about a workshop. If the town was considering it, then I think a workshop would be in order.
Right.
At this time, I don't think it's been brought up as a consideration for the town.
Okay, did anybody else have any questions or comments? So in our old business, the first thing we're gonna talk about is the ethics. I just wanted to remind everybody that we have ethics training coming up on the 21st from 1 to 5. There's also a reminder in the back of your packet somewhere. That'll be in Chiefland at the town hall. And if you've already taken your ethics class, you said you took yours in February.
About 10 of them, yes.
Do you have that certificate so you can give
Oh,
a copy
it's
to Belinda?
available. I don't have it, but it's a certain.
Where would Belinda get that?
From probably, whoever did the in-service, should be in the office, because there was like 5 of us that went that in February. It's me, Russell, Mary, and 2 other people.
I don't find any of the 2023.
Do you know what location you went
Yes,
to?
it was.
It has to be one in a physical year of each
CFEC.
office. You have to have one every year.
How Don the Con is telling jokes? I thought that was my job. I'm the one that makes the people laugh, Don. It should be in the office. Listen, under Mary, that was not an office. That was the town dump.
You have to go to the ethics training, like last year goes applies to last year's chime, this year's applies to this year's.
No, I think it'd be a calendar year. Why wouldn't, a fiscal year from the time you took it. I should get to take it
It's
twice
from
in less than 2 years.
Okay. The next thing we had was the clerk position. We still have not filled that position. We did workshops. Some people showed up, some people did not.
Don's got a nice crisp $50 bill for anybody who can guess who didn't show up for the workshops. Doesn't he still owe me $50 for that water test I did and it was definitely not drinkable?
I'll bet you $50 it'll pass any test you put it through.
And the first round, as we know, the person who was supposed to come for the interview never came. They canceled that interview, and then nobody went back through anything to choose anybody else. Belinda was hired for the bookkeeping, but there's still the other half of the clerk position, which would fill the administrative duties of the clerk position. Still needs to be done. So what's everyone's suggestion for what you want to do to hire a clerk? Because I tried to do a workshop and get people involved and nobody showed up. So I'm throwing it back your way. What do you want to do?
Yet another reason why
I'll make the motion that we unincorporate.
literally the smartest thing this town can do. I've talked to professional after professional, mayors, business leaders, you name it, people who are not invested in Otter Creek. And remember, I'm invested in Otter Creek. I have over $1 million invested into my properties in Otter Creek, and I think it should unincorporate. So do all the professionals, not somebody who's tied in and has an agenda. The professionals say the same as Don. The smartest thing to do, unincorporate.
Well, why do we have to have 2 people in the office? I think one could suffice.
So you want Belinda to do everything in that position? You have to ask her about that.
Well, we all voted and agreed to hire this, split it in two pieces. I don't think that's the
Maybe
discussion
we
this
didn't
time.
discuss it thoroughly enough to understand why we need to have two people.
Well, one of the
We did
reasons-
the time when we
One
voted
person
on
to do it.
One of the reasons that was decided before I came into this position, that y'all decided before me when you hired Angela and Norma, was to have a second person so that people would know the job if somebody was out, if there was an emergency situation, besides the fact that you should have it split between the bookkeeping and the administrative.
That didn't come up until later.
But we did vote on that.
We did vote.
Yeah.
But it was understood at the time, those were temporary positions.
Not
No.
Angela's.
Well, I think if we.
I didn't see anything.
One was
if we
temporary.
research it,
Oh,
Norma
with
was,
that.
but Angela was going to get
But
trained.
either way, the
So
question
in
is-
case Mary was sick or went on vacation.
The question at hand is, does anyone want to participate in following through with the rest of the resumes? Or is that something that just needs to be made out of the office that's here that's participating?
So we're all on the same page, and all of this can be found under our Otter Creek playlist. It was Russell who brought in a second clerk. It was Russell who brought in a third clerk. Now, the best reason for having two peoples in that office is so that theft doesn't happen. It's financial accountability. Now, here's another good reason to have two people in the office. It's going to be a part-time job no matter what. There's not enough work for one person to do. It's not going to be a full-time job. You're not going to offer benefits. But if you have two people cross-trained, if one gets sick, one goes on vacation, one can't make it in, whatever it is, you have somebody else who can fill in. It's really a position that's made up for a retiree, somebody who wants to get out of the house a few hours during the week. And that's very hard to hire in an economic climate where people just don't want to work anymore, let alone come to the circus and the chaos and dysfunction of the town of Otter Creek.
That's the thing. Let's go ahead and put it out there that somebody who wants to come through these things and say what day we want to pick next week so we can make it a legal workshop for everybody to come in and look through. And let's go through the ones again and let's try to arrange it to be a second person. What day's good? I know that we're pretty busy next week.
Well, what's the reason to have two? I mean,
That's not the discussion.
Pardon?
That's not the discussion.
What are you discussing?
We're
I
discussing
stated
hiring the person that we've already voted on.
I already stated the other reason.
So,
Well,
Tuesday-
I work the next 3 days and next week I'm booked up.
Yeah, next week's kind of a bad week.
yeah, it is, there's a lot of things in this. Ethics training's the 1 to 5 on,
Yeah, those are my
Thursday.
booked up dates.
you gonna be able to get to that?
I got that in my schedule.
Okay.
I got something to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and go back to work on Friday.
All right, so Monday following,
Monday following, probably yes. I have to look at my calendar, but my calendar's out in the car.
we're thinking, just look at the calendar so we can see what date that is. We're talking Monday the 25th.
Well, how about everybody check their calendars, and if you've got something going on that day and it's no good, let me know, and then we can discuss another date. It'll be enough notice to post it anyway.
Okay.
So if anybody has a conflict with the 25th, let me know and we'll discuss another date and get that posted. Sound good?
10 o'clock?
Is
10 sounds good to me, yeah. To discuss go back through
Or workshops?
yeah, to go back through the
resumes.
to pick someone to interview. Because somebody needs to be hired for that, because it would appear from the different things I'm hearing that everybody seems to have a problem with me doing the different clerk stuff, and I certainly didn't expect it to go on this long. I was trying to temporarily help out, but everybody seems to have a problem.
You have done a good job with that.
Russell has a problem with it. But Russell's the one that created this nightmare of a problem. Lynette has a problem with it. Lynette has a problem with everybody and everything. That's why she jumps from place to place to place after she burns every bridge. Who else has a problem with it? Probably no one. She's doing an absolutely incredible job. They are literally saving this town.
I try to do the best I can.
You're doing a real good job at it.
I do have other things to do as well, so I didn't mean that to be my focus of anything. I would love to have a clerk in here doing things.
If it was Russell in control, he just would have shut down Town Hall illegally for well over 2 months.
Ain't no clerk, ain't no show.
Do you guys follow sunshine laws? Because that is something that needs to be.
Absolutely. We have to follow the sunshine laws. Yes, we follow the sunshine laws.
25th it is, unless we hear something back for a request to change the date.
Sounds good.
And by tomorrow, you'll know? Tomorrow, will you know when it's about the 25th?
Yeah, the 25th, yeah, I'll know as soon as I go to my car.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe before we go to the meeting here tonight, we can finalize that before we go.
Man, I can go get my phone.
Well,
You want me to get it for
Or
you?
Darlene can go get it.
Thank you, Darlene.
You're welcome. I take care of about 5 or 6 people and hold a full-time job. Part-time job.
Yeah, it's important to check that calendar. It's easy to overbook. All right, so you want to wait on that or move on to the new business? Did y'all look through the quotes for the air conditioning repair that needs to be done? There's 3 quotes. So we need to make a decision on who we want to go with. We have spans.
Those aren't repair, just like a replacement.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what needs to be done.
That's David.
They've band-aided it for years.
They may be talking air conditioning, but this is the point where everything starts to heat up, and you have to have the base from everything that's already been said to understand what comes next.